You think you're something now? You're nothing. You were nothing when we took you in, and you're nothing now. You shouldn't have done that. She's going to come after you now.
I don't care. She's been hurting you for 18 years. I would do it again.
Let the next show begin. Now that her protector was out of the way, let's see how Melissa survived this. Melissa closed her eyes and let herself breathe. For a moment, she was 8 years old again, running through a market with her mother, laughing at nothing, everything simple, everything safe. But her mother was gone. The boy she had tried to save was gone. And she was here, in this world of power and wealth and lies, pretending to be someone she wasn't. Are you okay? The voice came from behind her, low and warm, and Melissa's eyes snapped open. She turned, and her breath caught in her throat. He was tall, broad-shouldered, his face sharp and handsome in a way that made Melissa's heart stutter. His black hair was slicked back, revealing high cheekbones and a jaw that could cut glass. And his eyes, dark, intense, focused entirely on her. "I'm sorry," he said, and his voice was deep, smooth. "I didn't mean to intrude. I saw you from my window up there and I wanted to make sure you were all right." Melissa found her voice. "I'm fine. Just needed some air." He nodded slowly, but he didn't leave. He walked closer, his footsteps soft on the marble, and sat down on the edge of the pool, a few feet away from her. "Parties like that can be overwhelming," he said. "All those people, all that noise. Sometimes you just need a moment to breathe." Melissa looked at him, at the way the pool lights played across his face, and something stirred in her chest. Something she hadn't felt in a long time. They sat in silence for a moment, the water lapping softly at the edge of the pool. "I'm Lion," he said finally. "Melissa." He smiled, soft, warm smile that made her heart do strange things. "Nice to meet you, Melissa. Even if it is at a party neither of us wants to be at." She laughed, and the sound surprised her. It had been so long since she had laughed like that. "Nice to meet you too, Lion. I think I need to go." Melissa had just left the pool area, her conversation with Lion still echoing in her mind, when she heard the voice. Well, look who decided to come back." She froze. Tiara was standing in the corridor ahead of her, flanked by two large men in dark suits. "Tiara." Melissa's voice was calm, but her heart was racing. "I'm not in the mood for your games tonight. Whatever you have to say, save it for another time." "Oh, I don't want to talk." Tiara stepped forward, her heels clicking on the marble floor. "I've been waiting for this moment for a long time. Watching you prance around like you belong here. Like you're one of us." Melissa stood her ground. "I don't know what you're talking about. You think I don't see it. The way Kim Leo looks at you. The way he touches you. Like you're something special." Tiara's face twisted. "You're nothing. You've always been nothing. A charity case they picked up off the street." She gestured to the two men. "Tonight, we're going to remind you exactly where you belong." The men stepped forward, their faces blank, their hands reaching for Melissa. "Touch me and I will make you regret it," Melissa said, her voice low, dangerous. "I've survived things you can't imagine. Two thugs with more muscle than brains don't scare me." One of the men grabbed her arm, and Melissa twisted, her hand coming up to claw at his face, but he was too strong. The other man grabbed her other arm, pinning her against the wall. "Let me go." Melissa's voice was sharp, desperate. "Let me go or I swear." Tiara laughed, a cold, cruel sound. "Or you'll what? No one's coming to save you, Melissa. Kim Leo is occupied. And by the time anyone finds you, you'll be so broken you won't remember your own name." She stepped closer, her face inches from Melissa's. "You should have stayed in your place. You should have known that people like you don't get happy endings." Melissa's mind raced. She could fight, but she was outnumbered, outmatched. She could scream, but the ballroom was too far away, the music too loud. And then, from the end of the corridor, a voice. "Let her go." The words were soft, calm, but they carried a weight that made everyone in the corridor freeze. Tiara turned, and her face went pale. Lion stood at the end of the corridor, his hands in his pockets, his face unreadable. He looked relaxed, almost bored, but his eyes were anything but. "This doesn't concern you," Tiara said, her voice sharp. "Walk away." Lion tilted his head, his eyes moving from Tiara to the men holding Melissa, then back to Tiara. "I said let her go. Now." One of the men released Melissa and stepped toward Lion, his hands balled into fists. "You heard the lady. Walk away before you get hurt." Lion didn't move. The man lunged. What happened next was so fast Melissa almost missed it. Lion moved, his body a blur, and in the space of 3 seconds, both men were on the ground, unconscious, and Lion was standing over them, his chest barely heaving. Tiara's mouth dropped open. "You, how?" Lion stepped over the men, his eyes fixed on Tiara. "I don't hit women," he said, his voice quiet, dangerous. "But for you, I might make an exception. Apologize to her." "I'm not apologizing to that." He moved so fast she didn't see him coming. His hand slammed into the wall beside her head, and she flinched, her eyes wide with fear. "Apologize," he said again, and this time, there was no room for argument. Tiara's face crumpled. "I'm sorry," she whispered. I'm sorry. Not to me. To her." Tiara turned to Melissa, her eyes wet with tears of humiliation. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please." Melissa stood up straight, smoothing down her dress, her heart still pounding but her face calm. She walked to Tiara, and for a moment, the two women stood face to face. Then Melissa's hand shot out and slapped Tiara across the face. Once, twice, 3 times. "How dare you?" Melissa's voice was shaking, but her eyes were blazing. "How dare you try to have those men hurt me? How dare you think you can touch me?" She grabbed Tiara's hair, yanking her head back, and Tiara screamed. "You want to know what I am?" Melissa hissed. "I am the woman who survived what you couldn't imagine. I am the woman who watched her mother die and still kept going. And I am the woman who will make your life a living hell if you ever come near me again." Tiara was sobbing now, her carefully applied makeup running down her face. Lion stepped forward, his hand on Melissa's arm. "That's enough. She's not worth it." Melissa looked at him, and for a moment, the rage in her eyes was almost frightening. Then it faded, replaced by exhaustion. She released Tiara's hair and stepped back. "Get out of my sight." Tiara scrambled away, tripping over her heels, disappearing down the corridor. Melissa stood there, her chest heaving, her hands shaking. Then her legs gave out, and she would have fallen if Lion hadn't caught her. "I've got you," he said, his arms around her, holding her steady. "It's okay. You're okay." She looked up at him, and the tears she had been holding back finally fell. "I'm sorry. I'm sorry you had to see that. I couldn't. Don't apologize." His voice was gentle, his hand moving to her back. "You defended yourself. There's nothing to apologize for. The way I handled her. She deserved worse." He guided her to a bench in the corridor, helping her sit down. "The way you handled her was perfect. She'll think twice before coming near you again." Melissa laughed, a broken sound. "I hit her. I actually hit her. I saw." His eyes were warm now, amused. "I think she'll be checking her reflection for marks for the next week." She looked at him, and something passed between them, an understanding, a connection that went beyond words. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for saving me. If you hadn't come, you don't have to thank me. I was just in the right place at the right time." He sat down beside her, and for a moment, they were just 2 people, sitting in a quiet corridor, the chaos of the night fading around them. "Why were you there?" she asked. "In the corridor." He was quiet for a moment. "When you left the pool." "I was going to. I don't know. Ask for your number. Maybe ask you to dance." He smiled, a little sheepish. "I didn't expect to find you fighting off 3 people." Melissa laughed, and this time, it was real. "I wasn't doing a very good job. You were doing great. You just needed backup." She looked at him, at the sharp lines of his face, the intensity in his eyes, and she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Safe. Seen. They sat in silence for a moment, and then Melissa shivered. Without a word, Lion picked his jacket and draped it over her shoulders. The warmth of it, the smell of him, clean and masculine, something like cedar and rain, wrapped around her. "You didn't have to do that," she said. "You were cold." She looked up at him, and their faces were so close she could see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes. "Lion," she whispered. "Yes." She didn't know what she was going to say. His face was so close, his eyes so intense, and she found herself leaning toward him, her body moving without her permission. His hand came up to cup her face, his thumb brushing her cheekbone. "Melissa." She held her breath. Then his phone buzzed, loud and insistent, shattering the moment. He pulled back, his jaw tightening, and pulled the phone from his pocket. He glanced at the screen, and his expression changed, became harder, more focused. "I have to go," he said, and there was regret in his voice. "Something's come up." "Of course." Melissa pulled herself together, handing him back his jacket. "Thank you. For everything." He stood, looking down at her with an expression she couldn't read. "Will I see you again?" "I don't know." "I hope so." He stepped back, and for a moment, she thought he was going to say something else. Then he turned and walked away, disappearing into the darkness of the corridor. Melissa sat there for a long time, her heart pounding, her skin still warm where he had touched her. She didn't know who Lion Kang was. She didn't know where he had come from or what he wanted. But she knew, with a certainty that scared her, that her life had just changed. For the 3 days of the event, Melissa and Lion were inseparable. They talked. They laughed. They walked through the forest, sat by the lake, watched the stars. Kim Leo noticed. He didn't like it. He found them by the lake. He had been looking for Melissa all morning. When he saw her sitting beside Lion, their shoulders touching, her head tilted toward him like she was listening to something important, something in his chest tightened. "Melissa." His voice was sharp. She looked up, smiled. "Kim Leo. There you are. We were just talking about. Can I talk to you?" He didn't look at Lion. She hesitated. Then she stood. "I'll be right back." She walked toward him, and he grabbed her arm, pulled her away from the dock. "What are you doing?" he hissed. "What do you mean?" "With him." He jerked his head toward Lion. "You've been with him for 3 days. Every time I look for you, you're with him. He's my friend." "Friend?" Kim Leo laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You think I don't see the way he looks at you? The way you look at him?" Melissa pulled her arm free. "Kim Leo, you're being ridiculous." "Am I?" He stepped closer, lowered his voice. "I've waited for you for years, Melissa. And now some stranger shows up and you're ready to throw all of that away." She looked at him, really looked, at the desperation in his eyes, the fear. "I'm not throwing anything away," she said quietly. "But I'm not something you can wait for. I'm not a prize you win at the end of a race." He flinched like she had hit him. "I didn't mean." "I know what you meant." Her voice was gentle, but firm. "I care about you, Kim Leo. You're the closest thing to family I have in this house. But I can't be what you want me to be." He stood there, his hands at his sides, his face pale. "Why?" "Because of him. Because of me." She touched his arm. "Because I spent my whole life being what other people wanted me to be. Quiet, invisible, grateful, and I'm tired." She walked back to the dock, sat down beside Lion. Kim Leo watched her go. Something in his chest cracked. Clouds rolled in from the mountains. The wind picked up. The pilot announced that flights were grounded. The only way out was by boat. Kim Leo found Melissa in the main hall. "We'll take the same boat. I already arranged it." She nodded. "I'll get my things." He watched her go. She was walking back to the dock when Lion appeared beside her. "Will you join my boat? I would really love your company," he asked. She glanced at him. "Okay." She brought out her phone. "I will text Kim Leo." Tiara was beside Kim Leo, her hand on his arm. "Such a shame about the weather," she said. "But maybe it's for the best. A boat ride together. Just the two of us." He pulled his arm away. We're not taking the same boat. Melissa and I. Melissa already left. What? Tiara smiled. She left with that man. They are already at the dock. Kim Leo's face went white. He turned and ran. He saw their boat pulling away. Saw Melissa's face turn toward the shore. He stood there, chest heaving, as the boat disappeared into the mist. Tiara appeared beside him. Her hand slipped into his. Don't worry, she said softly. She'll be fine. He pulled his hand away. But she didn't move. It started fine. And then the storm came. The water changed texture, from smooth to violent in the space of 10 minutes. The boat pitched. Spray hit the deck in sheets. Melissa grabbed the side railing and held. Then something hit them from below. The boat lurched sideways and Lion moved without thinking. He threw his body in front of hers before Melissa even processed what was happening. The boat's metal lip caught him across the side as they went over. They hit the water together. Cold. Dark. The same cold. The same dark that lived in Melissa's bones from 18 years ago. He was losing blood. She could see it in the water around him, dark blooming clouds. And he was going under. He couldn't swim. Melissa grabbed him. She was strong from years of swimming, years of refusing to be afraid of water, of proving to herself that it hadn't won. She grabbed him and pulled him up and kept his face above the surface. His eyes flickered open, clouded with pain. He looked at her face and something moved through him that was more than pain. Something older. Why does she remind me of? She pressed her lips to his, breathing for him, the same way she had once before, in a different river, in a different lifetime. His eyes opened fully for just a second. The same thing happened that had happened when he was 10 years old in cold, dark water. He saw her face, and he remembered everything. His mother's voice, his grandmother's hands, the car, the fire, the cliff, the small girl with the pendant who had breathed life into him once before, who had given him her pendant, who had been swallowed by the water while he survived. It was her. Boats reached them. People pulled them up. Kim Leo was waiting on the shore when they brought Melissa in. He ran to her, pulling off his jacket, wrapping it around her shoulders. Are you okay? Are you hurt? She was shaking. Her lips were blue, but her eyes were on the other boat, where Lion was being loaded onto a stretcher. He's bleeding, she said. He shielded me. The debris, it cut him. The doctors will take care of him. I need to go with him. Melissa. She pulled away, walked to Lion's boat, climbed in, sat beside him, held his hand. I'm here, she said. I'm here. His eyes were closed, but his hand tightened around hers. Kim Leo stood on the shore, watching her leave. Tiara slipped her hand into his. She's gone, she said softly. It's just us now. He didn't pull away this time. The hospital discharged him faster than Melissa thought was wise. He has private doctors. One of his men said to her, in a tone that meant this is not your concern. She looked at Lion on the hospital bed. He looked at her. You should go home, he said. You're still bleeding through that bandage. My men will. Your men were not in that water with you. She sat down in the chair beside his bed and crossed her legs. I'll go when the doctor says you're fine. He looked at her for a long moment, then looked away. Like if he kept looking he might say something he wasn't ready to say. He was discharged in the evening. His men brought the car. At Lion's apartment, she checked his freezer. Empty. You don't have any food, she said. I just got into town. Haven't had time to buy anything. It's late. The stores are closed. She looked at what little he had. I'll make do. Tomorrow, we'll go shopping. You don't have to. I want to. She set his bed. Set hers on the floor. You can stay on the bed, he said. I'm fine on the floor. Melissa. No. You're injured. You need rest. He sighed. Didn't argue. That night, she heard him threshing, crying out. She was beside him in an instant, pulled him into her arms, held him. It's okay, she whispered. It's okay. I'm here. He held her, his face buried in her hair. His breathing slowly steadied. I saw her, he said. My mother. She was calling for me. It was just a dream. It felt real. She held him tighter. I know. He fell asleep in her arms. She didn't move. In the morning, she woke to find him watching her. She felt her cheeks warm. What? You said you were fine on the floor. I was. Somehow you ended up in my arms. She sat up quickly. I heard you crying out. I couldn't leave you. He smiled and stayed the whole night. I didn't want you to have another nightmare. He looked at her. You could be a serial killer, you know. She laughed. I saved your life. Fair point. He sat up, winced. But I saved yours too. At the estate. So we're even. Even. He grinned. I saved your life. You saved mine. We're even. That means you can stop worrying about me now. Her stomach grumbled. Loud. He laughed. Reached for his phone. I'll call my men. They can bring whatever you want. She grabbed his phone. No. No. I know you're wealthy. But I prefer buying things myself. He looked at her. Okay. Let's go. You're recovering. I'm fine. You almost died yesterday. I've almost died a lot of times. He stood up. I'm still here. At the grocery store, she picked vegetables, ordered him to carry things, made him follow her through every aisle. You're very bossy for someone who's supposed to be taking care of me, he said. I'm taking care of you by making sure you eat properly. Now hold this. I'm injured. You're fine. He pulled out his phone, started filming. What are you doing? Documenting this. The moment you made a recovering man carry your groceries. She snatched at the phone. He pulled it away. Give me that. No. This is evidence. Melissa's grocery store tyranny. I'm sending it to my men. They'll be very interested in this footage. She threw a package of noodles at him. He ducked. The noodles landed on the floor. Now look what you made me do, she said, laughing. He was laughing too. I didn't make you do anything. You have terrible aim. I have excellent aim. You moved. You missed. She grabbed another package. Try me. He held up his hands. Okay. Truce. She put the package back. Picked up the one on the floor. You're paying for this. Obviously. Back at his apartment, she cooked. He watched. When she served him, he took a bite. Chewed. Took another bite. Well, she asked. Not bad. Not bad. She grabbed a pillow. I slaved over this stove for an hour. I picked every vegetable myself. I carried them myself. You made me carry them. You're recovering. You need the exercise. He grinned. Licked his spoon. Seriously, though. Not bad. She threw the pillow at him. He caught it. Threw it back. She threw another pillow. He dodged. It hit the lamp. The lamp wobbled. Your lamp, she said. Forget the lamp. He grabbed a pillow. You started this. He threw it. She ducked. It hit the wall. Feathers exploded. She was laughing so hard she couldn't breathe. He was laughing too. The room was a mess. Feathers everywhere. Pillowcases on the floor. He caught her. Pulled her close. They were both breathing hard. His face was inches from hers. Her heart pounded. You make me laugh, he said. Do you know how long it's been since I laughed like that? She couldn't speak. Couldn't move. Lion. He kissed her. She kissed him back. The world stopped. The room disappeared. There was nothing but his lips on hers, his hands in her hair, her heart beating so loud she was sure he could hear it. Then he pulled away. Melissa, he said, his voice rough. I. Her phone buzzed. Kim Leo. Again. She ignored it. But the moment was broken. She stepped back. I should go. Don't. I have to. He watched her go. Seo Yun was in the living room when Melissa came through the door. She was sitting in the center of the white sofa like she was holding court. Like the room was hers because she had decided it was. Where, Seo Yun said, without looking up from her phone, have you been? Melissa kept walking. Melissa. She stopped. Turned. Seo Yun set the phone down and looked at her with that expression she had perfected over years, contempt dressed up as concern. You disappear since yesterday without proper explanation. You think this house has no rules. This is the president's home. You are a guest here. An adopted guest. She let that word sit. I have never understood what my husband sees in you. What possessed him to take in a random girl from a river. She stood slowly. But I have tolerated it. For years. I have been patient. And I am telling you now, Melissa, you need to remember your place. Before I remind you of it myself. Remember you are nothing. Whoever birthed you is nothing. Melissa looked at her. She had heard this speech in 100 forms. In different rooms. Different dresses. Different hours. Always the same music underneath. You are nothing. You belong nowhere. She breathed in. You can say what you want about me, Melissa said, very clearly. About my choices, my behavior, my manners, whatever you want. But the next time you mention my parents, her voice dropped. Just slightly. But in that drop was something Seo Yun could feel in her spine. I will stop being as measured as I am now. I have shown you respect. I will continue to show you respect. But you will show me the same. That is not a request. Seo Yun's eyes narrowed. Melissa walked past her. Up the stairs. To her room. She closed the door. Leaned against it. Let out a long, long breath. She lay on the bed and looked at the ceiling. The kiss found her before she could stop it. The way he had looked at her after. The nightmare. His arms. What if he hadn't stopped, she thought. Then she heard the knock. Kim Leo. He didn't wait to be invited. He pushed the door open and stood in the frame, his brown hair disheveled, his jaw tight. You stayed at his place, he said. Good evening to you too. The whole night, Melissa. He was injured, Leo. She sat up. He shielded me with his body on that boat. He could have let me go under and he didn't. I wasn't going to leave him. The doctors were there. I was there. He stepped closer, and his eyes moved over her, taking her in. You smell like him. Melissa's heart stopped. What? Your dress. It smells like a man. Like someone I don't recognize. Kim Leo. He grabbed her arm, his grip too tight. Were you with him? Did he touch you? Let go of me. You're hurting me. He didn't let go. His face was close to hers, his eyes dark with something that looked like jealousy and fear. I've been waiting for you for 8 years, he said, his voice low. 8 years of watching you, wanting you, waiting for you to see me. And now some stranger. Kim Leo, you're scaring me. He stopped. His grip loosened. He looked at her face, at the fear in her eyes, and something in him seemed to break. I'm sorry. He released her and stepped back, his hands shaking. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I just. He turned away, his shoulders hunched, and Melissa could see the pain radiating off him. Last night, he said, his voice barely a whisper. Tiara came to my room. She said something happened between us. At the estate. And I can't remember, Melissa. I can't remember if it's true or if she's lying. Melissa's chest tightened. What do you mean? He turned back to her, and his eyes were wet. She said we were together. That I slept with her. And I don't remember. I don't know if she drugged me or if I was drunk or if, his voice cracked. I would never do that to you. To us. You have to believe me. Melissa looked at him, at the man who had been her only ally in this house for 18 years. I believe you, she said, and she meant it. But you need to find out what happened. You need to know. He stepped toward her, reaching for her face. Melissa. She stepped back. Not now. Not like this. He dropped his hand, and the pain in his eyes was almost too much to bear. Okay, he said quietly. Okay. He left without looking back. Melissa stood in the middle of her room, her heart aching, her mind spinning. She thought about Lion, about the way he had looked at her, the way he had held her. And she thought about Kim Leo, about the years of friendship, of protection, of unspoken feelings that had finally been spoken. She didn't know what to do. She didn't know who to trust. She only knew that her life, already complicated, was about to become a lot more complicated. Lion sat in his apartment, the evidence spread out before him. His men had been thorough. They had tracked down every report, every witness, every detail of the crash that had killed his mother. And they had found something. The car was tampered with, his lead investigator said over the phone. The brakes were cut. The steering column was damaged. Someone wanted that car to crash. Who? That's the thing. The official report says it was an accident. Mechanical failure. But our sources say there was an investigation, and it was shut down. Someone with a lot of power made sure this never saw the light of day. Lion's hand tightened on the phone. Seo Yun. We can't prove it yet. But she was the one who benefited most. She became the president's wife. Her son became the heir. If your mother and you had survived, none of that would have happened. Lion stared at the photograph of his mother. I need proof. Do you hear me? Yes, sir. We will continue working on it. He hung up and looked at the pendant in his hand. For 18 years, he had worn this chain, had carried it with him across the world. He had never known where it came from. Now he knew. It had belonged to her. To Melissa. He needed to find out. If she was truly the one to clear any doubt. You've been dead for 18 years, he said to himself. Time to come back to life. The mansion was quiet when he arrived. The gates opened. The guards stepped aside. They didn't know who he was. But something in his face made them move. He walked through the front door. The foyer was marble and gold, chandeliers glittering overhead. Voices came from the living room. He followed them. The president sat in the center of the room, a glass of whiskey in his hand. Seo Yun sat beside him, perfect as always, her hair arranged, her dress expensive, her smile in place. Kim Leo stood by the window, looking out at nothing. Tiara perched on the arm of a chair, her wine-colored hair falling over her shoulder. And Melissa. She was standing by the fireplace, her hands wrapped around a cup of tea, her face turned toward the window. She looked tired. Lion stepped into the room. Every head turned. The president's glass stopped halfway to his mouth. Seo Yun's smile froze. Kim Leo's hands clenched at his sides. Tiara's eyes went wide. And Melissa's face went through something. Shock. Recognition. And something else. Something that looked like hope. Lion, she said quickly, stepping forward. You're here. You're here to see me. I told you to come. He's my friend, everyone. He's just here to see me. Kim Leo's jaw tightened. Tiara's eyes narrowed. Lion looked at Melissa. At the lie she was trying to build, the shield she was trying to throw around him. He shook his head. I'm not here to see you, he said. His voice was calm. Steady. I'm here to tell them who I am. Melissa's hand went to her chest. What was he talking about? I am the president's son, Lion said. I am the boy who died in that car crash 18 years ago. The room went silent. Seo Yun's hand shook. The wine glass in her fingers trembled. Red liquid sloshed against the crystal. The president set down his glass. Slowly. Carefully. His face was pale. What nonsense is this? He said. His voice was low. Dangerous. Who are you? Who sent you here? Lion stepped forward. No one sent me. I came because I finally know the truth. I didn't die that night. I lost my memory. I was taken to America by my grandmother and raised there. She hid me to keep me safe. Hid you? Seo Yun's voice was sharp. Too sharp. From what? From who? Lion looked at her. From the people who tried to kill me. The president stood up. His hands were shaking. You come into my house. You stand in front of my family. And you tell me you're my dead son. His voice rose. Where is your proof? Where is your evidence? You think you can walk in here and claim to be my flesh and blood without? I have witnesses. I have my grandmother's testimony, Lion said. I have everything you need to know the truth. You have nothing. Seo Yun's voice cracked. She stood up. You think you can come here and bring back pain we buried 18 years ago? You think you can open old wounds for what? Money, power, position. She walked toward him. Her face was twisted. We buried that boy. We mourned him. His mother died in that crash. His body was found in the water. I held my husband while he cried for his son. And now you come here. You held him, Lion said quietly. You held him while he cried for the son you tried to kill. The room went cold. Seo Yun's face went white. How dare you? There's only one way to find out, Lion said. He looked at the president. A DNA test. Right now. Your doctor. Your people. Your process. Let science decide. The president stared at him. Something flickered in his eyes. Something that looked like hope. And fear. You look like her, he said quietly. You look like my Sejin. Seo Yun whirled on him. Don't you dare. This man is a fraud. He's a liar. He's here to take everything from us. Can't you see? The president ignored her. He walked to the phone. Picked it up. Dr. Park, come to the house immediately. I need a DNA test. Now. Seo Yun's hands were shaking. You can't be serious. You're going to let this stranger. If he's lying, we'll know, the president said. If he's telling the truth, his voice broke. If he's telling the truth, my son has been alive for 18 years. And I have to live with that. He hung up, turned to Lion. If this is a lie, he said, you will regret the day you were born. Lion met his eyes. It's not a lie. They waited. The doctor came. Samples were taken. Blood and saliva and hope and fear. The president paced. Seo Yun sat perfectly still, her hands folded in her lap, her face a mask. Kim Leo stood by the window, not looking at anyone. Tiara watched everything, her eyes moving from face to face, calculating. Melissa stood in the corner. Her heart was pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. Could it be true? Could the boy she tried to save be standing in this room? Could her mother's death not be in vain? But they found his body. They found a boy in the water but never found the pendant. Unless they found the wrong boy. Her heart pounded. The doctor came back. His face was pale. Mr. President, he said, the results are clear. The room held its breath. Seo Yun's hand went to her throat. It's a lie. It has to be a lie. We found his body. We buried him. We. Seo Yun. The president's voice was sharp. Let him speak. The doctor opened the folder. His hands were steady, even if his voice wasn't. The DNA test confirms a 99.97% probability of paternity. This man is your son. The sound that came out of the president was not a word. It was a noise. A broken, animal sound that came from somewhere deep inside him. He fell to his knees. My son, he whispered. My son. My son. Seo Yun stood frozen. Her face was white. Her lips were moving, but no sound came out. The mask had cracked. Behind it was something raw and terrified. Kim Leo stared at Lion. His face was blank, but his hands were shaking. Tiara's mind was racing. If this man was the real son, then Kim Leo was nothing. A placeholder. A substitute. The property. The money. The position. All of it would go to this stranger. That means Kim Leo won't have right to the president's property. And she had already made an enemy of him. She had tried to have his woman hurt. She had threatened her. Brought men to attack her. Her stomach turned. She needed to change her strategy. Fast. Melissa couldn't breathe. She was staring at Lion. At the man who had saved her life. Who had held her in his arms. Who had kissed her like she was the only thing in the world. He was the boy. The boy from the car. The boy her mother had pulled from the wreckage. The boy she had put her lips on and breathed life into. He was alive. He had been alive all along. Tears poured down her face. The president was on his feet. He grabbed Lion. Pulled him into his arms. Held him like he was afraid he would disappear. My boy, he sobbed. My boy. I thought I lost you. I thought you were gone. I thought, his voice broke. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I wasn't there. I'm sorry I didn't protect you. I'm sorry I didn't know. Lion stood still. His arms hung at his sides. His face was calm, but his eyes were wet. I'm here now, he said quietly. The president pulled back, looked at his face, touched his cheek. You look like her. You look so much like her. Your mother. She would be so proud. She would be so. I know, Lion said. Seo Yun moved. Her legs were shaking. I need to lie down. I need to. She walked toward the door. Her steps were unsteady. Her hands were shaking. Lion watched her go. She was going to make a move. He could feel it. The panic in her eyes. The fear. She had thought she had won 18 years ago. She had thought the boy was dead. She had built her life on that lie. Now it was crumbling. He would wait. Let her think she was safe. Let her make the first move. Then he would crush her. In her room, Seo Yun closed the door. Leaned against it. Her hands were shaking so hard she couldn't breathe. She grabbed her phone. Dialed with shaking fingers. The voice on the other end answered. Yes. You said you finished the job, she hissed. You said the boy was dead. You said no one survived. He was in the water. I saw him go under. The current. He's alive. He's standing in my house. He's talking to my husband. He knows. He knows everything. The voice was quiet. What do you want me to do? Seo Yun's hands tightened on the phone. Finish it. Finish what you started 18 years ago. But wait. Wait a while. If anything happens to him now, they'll know. They'll trace it back to me. How long? I don't know. A week. 2. Make it look like an accident. Like the first time. She hung up. Threw the phone on the bed. Stared at her reflection in the mirror. Her hands were still shaking. Downstairs, the president wouldn't let Lion go. He held his arm like he was afraid he would disappear. He talked and talked, words pouring out of him like water from a broken dam. Your mother, he said. She was the most beautiful woman I ever saw. The kindest. The gentlest. When she died, I thought I would die too. I thought, his voice broke. I thought I lost everything. I lost her. I lost you. I had nothing. He looked at Seo Yun's empty chair. At Kim Leo, standing by the window, his face blank. I tried to move on. I tried to be happy. But I never forgot her. I never forgot either of you, he said quietly. Lion looked at his father. At the man who had been deceived. Who had mourned a son who wasn't dead. Who had let a murderer into his house. Into his bed. She would want you to be happy, Lion said. It was the only thing he could say. The president's face crumpled. He pulled Lion into his arms again. The president turned to the staff. The finest room. The master suite. No, the family suite. The one next to mine. I want it prepared. Fresh linens. Fresh flowers. Everything. He looked at Lion. You're not leaving. Not ever again. You're staying here. With me. Where you belong. Lion nodded. But his eyes found Melissa. She was still in the corner. Still crying. Still staring at him like he was a ghost. He would find her later. He would tell her everything. He would hold her and let her cry and promise her that her mother's death had not been in vain. But first, he had to let his father hold him. First, he had to let the man who had been mourning for 18 years finally breathe. To be continued. What happens next? And don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next.